Hurricane Irma is shaking the earth. They're tracking the tremors from here. We're all for Colorado's first responders helping after a disaster. But who pays the bill? Another iconic piece of old Denver vanishes. We know what happened to Lefty Martins, the artist behind the mural that everyone's seen.
You know, and now at this point in my life, it's really not about wanting to do more of these, it's about wanting to share it with other people.
And searching for an endangered animal on the outskirts of the city.
It's kind of a needle in a haystack game.
Reveals some kind of freaky ferret dance party. Shake your tail. This is next. Hurricane Irma is shaking the earth to its core. It's approaching Puerto Rico right now, where 600,000 people have already lost power. Irma has winds 185 miles per hour, gusts to 225. Winds so strong that they are showing up on equipment used to measure earthquakes. Our Noel Brennan takes us out to Golden, to the National Earthquake Information Center.
We locate about 30,000 earthquakes per year.
From an office in Golden.
This is a typical aftershock that we've been seeing.
It's a geophysicist's job to make sense of squiggly lines.
You can kind of see that it's fairly smooth, some wiggles here, there's always wiggles.
Little wiggles John Bellini tends to ignore.
In general, it's just something in the background that we don't really pay much attention to.
But sometimes background noise.
You can see that the noise does increase in size and amplitude.
Is worth a closer look.
And then that's the island Antigua and Barbuda.
A seismometer in the Leeward Islands detected vibrations.
It's pretty consistent until you can start seeing it slowly increasing as the hours go by. So each one of these lines is an hour different from the one above it.
Squiggly lines caused by a giant spinning circle.
Hurricane, it can pick it up fairly well because it causes some vibration in the ground.
An earthquake expert never thought.
No, no I didn't.
He'd be tracking Hurricane Irma.
Considering the strength of the winds, it's not surprising at all to see a hurricane of this size being recorded on our seismometers.
Background noise now has his attention.
Because I have family that's in South Florida.
And it's impossible to ignore.
They're planning on evacuating, yeah, for sure.
For next.
So that's why I'm paying attention to it personally.
I'm Noel Brennan.
They tell us it's not unusual for those seismometers to pick up vibrations close to the sensors from construction or farming, mining, even heavy vehicles if they're just in the right spot. When disaster strikes, you'll always see those heartwarming videos of local first responders rolling out to help. Perhaps in the moment it seemed rude to ask. I mean, our local tax dollars pay their salaries. Are we paying for them to clean up somewhere else rather than serve our communities? Hey, it's okay to ask. The people who move these teams around America like chess pieces were happy to provide our Steve Steger with the answer.
We have 78 reported large wildfires at the moment.
Number 79 on this map is Harvey. Number 80 will likely soon be Hurricane Irma. Federal first responders are having a busy summer.
So it's nice to be on the exporter side and be able to allow our folks to go someplace else to help out.
That's Scott Swenson, the center manager for the Forest Service's Rocky Mountain Area Coordination Center.
Rocky Mountain Coordination Center, this is Joni.
His office oversees firefighting resources for 5 states. Every trained firefighter is in the computer here. It lists their availability and their training. Other jurisdictions can make a request if they need help, and the people in this room find a match and send the person where they're needed.
Let me find out from someone for you. Hold on.
Only if it won't hamper the efforts at home.
So we always ensure that we are always going to have enough resources locally to be able to meet our own needs. And our fire decision makers, the fire managers at regional and state levels, have determined these thresholds that we are not going to go below these certain types of things.
That's the federal side.
So we have systems in place to handle resource requests, make sure that we keep enough resources here to cover everybody that may need help in Colorado, and deliver what they need.
Kevin Klein is the director of our state's emergency management office.
And when we had our major flood, we had, I think, 12 different states send us people to help us recover in 2013.
Statewide, there's a similar system where states request emergency management teams and other states fulfill those requests.
When we go, we get paid by that other state, so the Colorado taxpayers aren't paying for the Florida disaster.
Same thing on the federal side. FEMA reimburses the states for their help, or whatever agency is there to help. We do have one large wildfire burning here north of Steamboat. A crew of firefighters from Illinois is coming in to help with the effort there. The biggest influx of out-of-state help we've seen, though, was during the 2013 floods.
Oh, remember it well and appreciate it. Steve, thank you. So perhaps you've heard that the Federal Emergency Management Agency is running out of money. It makes for a flashy headline, but you should know that it's not unusual for FEMA to drain its disaster relief fund year after year. FEMA has asked for extra disaster money in 13 of the last 20 budget cycles. Now, for some perspective, Steve mentioned the floods. The $8 billion package, which was passed by the House today for Harvey, that's almost 19 times what FEMA spent to repair the Colorado flood damage of 2013. Hurricane Katrina has been the most expensive disaster to date. FEMA spent $41 billion and counting. Congressman Mike Coffman's much talked about move to force his fellow Republicans to vote on protections for the so-called Dreamers appears to have been entirely unnecessary. The plan was to rally enough bipartisan support for a House petition to require a vote. But it turned out a bit like that scene in Animal House when Jim Belushi's character first tries to rally the troops.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on! Ah!
Republican House leadership didn't actually need to be forced to start working on a plan to protect DACA recipients. So Congressman Coffman's petition to force a vote is just sitting at the desk of the House clerk. Literally, it is sitting there. House members can walk up and sign it if they want, but there's no real point. It's kind of like a sad, empty sign-up sheet for a workplace bowling trip. Coffman said he still might revive it if Republican leaders don't follow through. Tomorrow, Lieutenant Governor Donna Lynn will see how many news outlets can be tricked into covering her campaign announcement again. Remember, she did that exploratory launch that got all kinds of press attention. Now a major announcement is planned for tomorrow morning. In my view, the only major announcement would be if Governor Hickenlooper's apparent choice to replace him decided that she was going to stand by her original commitment and not run for governor. The commitment that Republican legislators say helped the Democrat to an easy confirmation for that number 2 job. There is something missing these days from Colorado Boulevard. We certainly know it is not the traffic. It is a piece of nostalgia that disappeared this summer. Lefty Martin has finally left the building he put his name on 56 years ago. Our Marshall Zellinger tracked down this piece of the past.
It's been 20 years and everything's changing, the gentrification of the neighborhood. It's really come to the point where we needed to upgrade our store. Chuck Ewing, I'm the CEO and owner of the appliance factory in Mattress Kingdom. We bought the building in 1999, almost 20 years ago. And we left the sign up because everybody knows it as the Lefty Martin store. So we decided that it was time after almost 20 years for us to take down the Lefty Martin sign and redo the store and upgrade it. There wasn't any requirement for it to check with the community. And so, we didn't talk to them. In hindsight, maybe we should have. We've been able to keep it open as an appliance company, which I feel really good about that. And we left it up for a long time, and on purpose. It's like, well, it's Lefty Martin. Everybody knows it as Lefty Martin. But, we've had a lot of new people move into the neighborhood and into our communities. And it's kind of lost its recognition. The sign's so big they couldn't get it on the truck in order to bring it over here. And so they ended up cutting it in half in order to transport it. It's a piece of nostalgia. It's a piece of Denver. Progress can be difficult. And to be honest, we waited a long time before we changed the front of the building because we knew that, Lefty Martin had been there for a long time. And it wasn't something that we did lightly. The business has not been particularly strong at that location, and we needed to do something to make the business more viable.
Maybe you remember that old 30-foot vertical sign, a real tower that said appliances right above the store. That also came down. It turns out that was against city code, but who's going to tell Lefty Martin what to do? A new 10-foot digital sign will go up because who doesn't want to see cool historic signs just replaced by something flashy and new? Next goes on a nighttime search for the elusive and endangered black-footed ferret just north of Denver. The story behind Denver's most prominent woman, so to speak. And a street sign spell check spotted by a student who made an awkward discovery. Next.
You're halfway through the week. week. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. Another hazy, warm summer day in September in Denver, and we're going to do this all over again tomorrow. High temperatures today a little cooler than the average for many areas. We'll start to see that warming trend kick in earnest by Friday and Saturday. Thunderstorms we're tracking are non-severe, producing wind and lightning in southwestern Colorado, so all eyes are on the Atlantic. Irma, a dangerous Category 5 storm taking aim at Puerto Rico and then Miami on Sunday, Jacksonville, Florida by Monday, and then the Carolinas, it looks like, early next week. High pressure will bring another warm, dry day to our state, increasing the fire danger as limited moisture will bring little relief from the heat and not a lot of wind to scour out the smoke and haze from all of the wildfires burning across 6 states to our west. Hazy and mild this evening in the city with our overnight low temperature right around 52 degrees. Tomorrow, mid-70s by lunchtime, low to mid-80s again in the afternoon. Only enough available moisture for isolated storms for Friday and Saturday. Broncos home opener is Monday, and right now it looks mild and dry when the guys take the field with a kickoff temperature Monday close to 80 degrees. And while the smoke and haze, well, creates poor air quality, the color in the sky, Kyle, anything but.
Kathy, thanks. They are America's cutest assassins. 2 pounds of terrifying lethality when they turn on a prairie dog. But black-footed ferrets have been nearly wiped out twice by a far more ruthless killer, humans. They're coming back from the brink of extinction on a wild piece of property that's near the heart of the city. To measure their comeback, scientists have to catch them, count them, microchip them, and vaccinate them at night. Our Anastasia Bolton and photojournalist Ann Herbst went along.
It's kind of a needle in a haystack game.
A game of looking for one's BFF.
They're relatively small.
In total darkness.
So they have really big, sharp teeth.
Is a game of trial.
Ooh. Ooh.
Error.
Actually, it's a deer taking a poop.
And sleepless nights.
I'm not a 3 in the morning person.
But it's David Lucas's job.
Is that fair?
As a refuge manager at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal.
We are looking for black-footed ferrets, the most endangered mammal in North America.
It's all worth it once he finds one.
And she will not be happy, but she's going to come out, aren't you? Make my life easy.
Each black-footed ferret tonight is a great story of success.
And she's out of here.
For America's BFF.
Oh, there he goes. He's dancing.
Apparently, the ferrets are liking their new non-extinct status, too.
The ferret dance is what they call that. Very few people get to see what we're seeing right now. Very few people.
Scientists introduced 25 tiny dancers to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal Prairie 2 years ago. Today, by last count, there are 50.
It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, being a ferret, out in the wild. But it looks really good, I gotta say. Its coat is amazing.
Scientists hope their work will save the species.
Man, he's cute.
And lead to overall nationwide fame.
So the goal is Tiny Dancer on the Today Show. What do you think, Ann? At night is really when the prairie is alive. I mean, you saw the deer, we're seeing the ferrets. Normally you'll see owls, you'll see coyotes, you'll see badgers, you see the rabbits.
All depend on each other to eat, to survive, to dance.
I love seeing when things are starting to work too.
So when one link is almost lost, people like Dave say it's their responsibility to bring it back.
That is what success is if we can all work together to conserve what we have left here in the United States. We're doing the right thing.
For Next, I'm Anastasia Bolton.
Even they didn't think they were going to see that. The 50 black-footed ferrets at the Arsenal represent about 10% of the wild population. In order to have them removed from the federal endangered list, conservationists would need to reach 3,000 breeding adults across at least 9 states.
Towering above all the people stuck in interstate traffic is Colorado's climbing woman and the man who brought her to life.
I was doing murals in the 90s when you couldn't give a mural away in Denver.
And an HOA gets schooled on the spelling of its street signs by a kid. Next.
You can't miss her at I-25 in Colorado. A woman climbing a building. She's been there for a while. We tracked down the guy who put her there.
Do we have a name for this? I think it's the climber. This was an interesting project because it was a pretty ubiquitous building. It was built in the 70s. It was cutting edge at the time. We were looking to do something on this side of the building because it looked like a huge canvas to us, and we wanted to have it stand out. I was that kid, yeah. I was that goofy left-handed kid that was always the kid that drew everything and won all the drawing awards. I love it. I've done these on rope scaffold swing stages for years, never quite that tall. This is 180 by 38 foot. I think it ended up taking about maybe 38 gallons of paint. We did it in 1 month.
If you go to any major city in the world, this is what's going on. And it's kind of nice to be a part of that and bring that to Denver.
People that are stuck in traffic on I-25 could look over at it and kind of enjoy it. And it also works close up too, because when you get really on top of it, it just kind of becomes this diffused abstract. But from a distance, it really comes together. That's a good question. I don't know if she's going up or down. I don't know the answer.
Get used to it. That mural's built to last. The artist says it'll likely fade away in about 15 years or so. He's hoping to do some other work on the other side of the building. It's a sign that spelling is hard. A street sign spotted in Carbondale in the Blue Lake Division, where all the streets are named for animals. Badger Road, Coyote Circle, Rabbit Run. They were going for Pika Lane, small mountain animal related to rabbits, but the animal is spelled P-I-K-A. Pica, P-I-C-A, is a disorder where people eat dirt and other stuff that isn't food, so not exactly an appetizing home address. Next viewer Bob Stewart let us know about this. He has a student, an 8th grader named Seacar, who lives on that street and who challenged the Blue Lake HOA about their spelling error.
But it might be a fun school project for her to go around and educate the neighbors on her street that, you know, their street is named after an eating disorder, and would they be in favor of getting us to change it? I would have no problem changing it if the homeowners thought that that was worth the time and effort to change all their billing.
It's not a simple process because all of the homes are titled to P-I-C-A Lane. So people would have to jump through hoops at the clerk's office and the assessor's office if they wanted to make the change. 18 homes on Pica, P-I-C-A Lane in Carbondale. A majority of the homeowners would have to vote to change the spelling. Unless you think that we are nitpicking on the poor folks in that HOA, they didn't exactly stick the landing on Raccoon Court either. Yes? 1 C on the street name, 2 C's in the word raccoon. We asked the HOA and they said it's just the street sign that's wrong. They have it official on the documents the right way, so nobody has to change their address. Hungry bears making a very important choice caught on camera. More dancing ferrets and your feedback on a blooper I made next. The most Colorado thing we saw today, a family of bears trying to decide whether dinner should come from nature, which would be a good call, or whether dinner should come from somebody's house. That would be a bad call for the bears. Chet Feldman saw the bear and her cubs eating berries in Aspen and then making the most Colorado of all choices, whether to go across the street and get into a house. Mama bear tried to open the window, but didn't work out well. Come on, bears, stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to. And I probably should not go with the pop culture references because I bungled one badly earlier in the show when I said Jim Belushi. I meant John Belushi. Thank you to all the kind folks who pointed out my error. Gary, Lori, Warren, Tom, Robert, my apologies. No next tomorrow night due to football. Please accept my apologies and dancing ferrets.